Hi guys, it's Victoria here for Beyond Paper by Victoria. I forgot which channel I was on then, and I'm on my own. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a brand new launch for March Madness from Tonic Studios, and it's called the Grandiosa Galleon, and obviously it's going to be a lovely galleon ship. Now it's a full A4 die set. Now all I'm going to say about this die set is it's not going to be for a beginner crafter. I would say that. It's got to be for somebody that is very familiar with 3D and it's more of an advanced project. I would say myself, but we're all different, and you know what one person would say is more advanced, another person might say, oh, found that a doddle, you know. It is simple to put together, but it is time consuming, so you do need to have some patience. That's all I'm going to say, but it is amazing, and I've never seen anyone do 3D like this. And this is one of our Toby's designs, and as you can imagine, you know, with Toby and Jodie and Mark, you're getting a fantastic design each time. So I'm going to just briefly talk you through the dies, because this is going to be a very lengthy video. So if you want to put the kettle on and get a chocky biscuit, then I would do so now. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a very large die. This is going to be your sail, your I forgot my words already, so that's a flipping good start, isn't it? It's going to be your sail, you know. So, you know, you could have that in black and white if you want a pirate ship or something like that. Or you could have a nice, soft, oceany colour. It's up to you. So, that's for that. That also goes with your sail. It gives it that shape. And if you have got any sort of, I'm going to reach over now, any sort of tool like these are solid cardboard middles from different things. These are good things to keep to shape your sails and whatnot. Okay, so that's that. Then you're going to be making the bottom half of the ship, so you will need this die here, and you'll need to cut 2 of those. In turn, you will need to cut 2 of these, and you'll also need to cut 2 of these, and that is for the base of your ship. So I have 1/2 put together here, so as you can see, that die is this die here, this die is the one opposite, and this die is this die here. And then you'll need to cut 4 of these. Now, well, you need to cut 8 altogether, because this is how I make mine. Now, the instructions might show you different, but this is how I've interpreted it for me. Okay, so I always cut 4 the same colour as the ship base, and then I am going to do an overlay of like a nice satin card, just to show that deboss. Okay, and I'll show you how the other half goes together and we put it together. But I've jumped a few steps, but I will explain, because we are going to be here some time. So you can see there, you've got that second half there. Okay, now you have this die here. Okay, looks like a bit like a banana. You'll need to cut 2 of those, and then you will also need to cut 2 of these, and this will create your center column for everything to be built around it. Okay, and again, I've cut one out to show you, and I've put one together because I don't want you to be waiting around too long for things to dry, because things do take time to dry. So we have the little bird's nest that goes up near your sail, and that's a nice little basket, and this is this die here. So you'll need to cut 6 of those. It has a decorative panel as well. So this is this one here, and I've just gone in as you can see, I have a lot of stuff cut to one side. So this is the little basket. I've added the detail there in a gold satin, and we're going to add that to a small hex that is, there we go, there's the hexagon there. And you also have some dies in here that create your columns here and here. They're obviously for the little bird's nest to sit on. I will show you how it all goes together, guys. Okay, we've got these pieces here which hold the mast and everything together and the bird's nest. We also have a chain here with the anchor. We have these little 2 dies here which are little stackers. We need those for the closure. You have your skull and your crossbone. You have a nice decorative panel here for the front of the galleon and the back of the galleon, whatever you choose. This die here helps support the mast when it's up, and it goes down at the bottom near the column. Again, I'll show you that. You have a circle here. The 2 circles can go on the back of the sail to hold the bunting, because we also have bunting in here, which is this die here. And basically it folds in half and the middle goes in and the 2 outers come up, and it gives you a bit of bunting like this. So you can see that there. See how it goes in the middle, and then you thread your cottons or whatever you're going to use, and that then can go on the front of your sail. Okay, I'm trying not to lose any bits because I've had more bits on the floor today. This die here goes on each side of the door that will open, and it also has string attached to each end. Again, I'll show you that. This die here, you will need 4 of these. These are your little step bracket to hold at the bottom of your ship, so that it's got something sturdy to sit on. So we've got those. Then you've got these here which make the nice balustrade front and back of your galleon. And I think that's pretty much everything. We do have this little die here. We have a fancy little porthole as well to decorate. You have a nice trim here that goes on your balustrade there. You also have your flag for the top of the bird's nest. And then we have these 2 dies here. Now this cuts to 3 sides, doesn't cut at the top here. And basically this is like where the cannons come, the guns cannons come out at the side. As you see, I'm not clued up on galleons, but that is what they're for. And then you've got a nice outer frame there. So without further ado, we're going to crack on. Okay, so I'm going to put this to one side. Hopefully I have everything cut out and we don't need to cut anything else. Like I said, we have a lot of pieces here, so we're just going to go bit by bit. Okay, so I think we'll start off with this center column. Okay, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just going to put those to one side. Now, as I said, I have one I've made earlier because you don't want to see me holding. But basically, you need to cut 2, and you need to fold these score lines. Okay. On both pieces. And the last thing you want me to do is rush when it's such an involved make. But I know you'd get fed up with me holding, because you are holding some pieces until they have grabbed. And even I lose my patience a little bit at times. I want to crack on. You have to excuse me, I have ink all over my hands. I have been inking. I have another tutorials to do after this one. And I have been messy with some yellow ink. And that's never the best ink to get off your hands. So we fold those down, and we do that on both pieces. Okay. You can go over with a bone folder if you wish. Want a more of a crisp finish. I always do like to go over with a bone folder where I can. So I hope everyone is well. I hope you're all looking forward to March Madness. The girls have been busy. We have had quite a bit to play with. Quite involved makes and quite involved tutorials. One of them, I have a tutorial. It's not on my channel. It will be on Tonic Studios channel, and it's a very lengthy tutorial. It's about 2 hours long. So, yeah, hoping that you will really like that one. I'm hoping you're going to like them all because I like them all, but I think you're going to like that one. So, you've got this banana shape here, okay? And you have this central glue tab. Now, this central glue tab is 2 inches. So what I tend to do is just mark it at 1 inch, just with a little pencil mark. Just for me. This is just for me. You might not want to do this. You might be quite happy as you are. So as you can see there, 2 inches. And I just put a little pencil mark there, okay? And I'll do the same on this one. You don't have to do this. This is just for me personally. Okay. And then what we're going to do is this has a top piece, as you can see here. That will go to the top here. But I don't glue from here. I glue from that middle mark there. So if you want to kind of eyeball that and say, there's that mark, then there we go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to glue this all the way round to the top here. Okay. So we're just going to put some adhesive on the situation. This is where you need to have some patience because you will be holding it for a little while until all those teeth are well and truly stuck down. Okay, so I stick mine on the outside, but it's up to you. You might want to prefer to stick it to the inner part. Now at this point, once you've held it for a few seconds, as you know, I'm starting to suffer with my hands now, and I'm finding different ways of holding things, and I understand that, you know, many of you have arthritis, you know, and osteoarthritis, and so you have to find ways of holding and doing things. So once that has kind of grabbed, I will then put it on my desk flat. I will curve that in, okay, and then I will hold it until I know I can move on, okay? And I'll just keep going over those lines. At this point, you could use a bone folder. You don't have to use your hands. But sometimes the heat of your hands does help adhere those bits down. So you will have to have patience. But once this piece is built, it kind of all builds on this piece. Okay. So we'll just go a little bit more. And then we will move on because, you know, I do have one put together, but I think you can all see there where we're going with this piece. Okie doke. So that's one side. So we want to repeat the same on this side. Okay. So again, I'm adding adhesive. And as always, I would highly recommend your wet glue. The deluxe adhesive from Tonic is by far the best glue I've ever used, but we all have our own favourites. But yeah, wet glue all the way here. So I then want to place this one just there so that they meet at the bottom. So they're flush at the bottom, okay? So I'm just going to hold that one there. You don't want a gap there at the bottom. You need it to meet, okay? And then now that one's grabbed, I'm going to do as I did before, bring that round. Okay. And then slide that one round. Okay. I mean, this is not dry. You do need to give it time to dry. Okay. And then we want some glue on that tab there. And then we want to press down there. So just keep pressing and teasing, pressing and teasing. But I think you can see now where we're going with this. So once you've done one side, you are then going to add this other side. Now you can go on top if that's easier, or you can do as you've done, and then you can go on this side like so. Okay, and once that is together, we'll see how much further we can go, because time wise I'm conscious of time. So let's just glue those two in here. Now obviously I'm eyeballing this because I've not put my pencil mark in at the bottom, but it's roughly around there. This is where you need to have some patience. So I am gonna put my fingers in there and press down. Okay. And then you can move on until you've gone all the way round. So you would put glue on those little teeth, and then you would press the top piece in here, wrap that round and wait for that to dry. And then these tabs, one goes over the other, goes over the other, goes over the other, until you've built what I call your banana. Okay, so you can see where we're going. Now I'm going to move on from here because we have one here. As you can see, the tabs have been glued over, and this one is dry and we're ready to go. But that's how that piece goes together. So now we're going to go and move on to make the other half of this base of the galleon. Okay, so we need this section here. As you can see, there's a little glue tab there. Okay, these go in, so these are mountains and valleys. Okay, so mountain is your peak and your valley is your trough. And then you want to put some glue on this little tab here, and then you want to pinch that in until it meets the score line, and you're just going to hold that. Now normally I would say to you, glue tabs are always folded in. On this occasion your glue tabs are going to be folded outwards. Okay, so these are folded out and the sides are folded out, but these ones are folded in as they normally would be. Then you have this curved piece here. So we want the piece with the non-tabs, and they're going to glue all the way round. Okay, so again, wet adhesive on here. Okay, and then you want the end of the score line to be at the end of that piece. Get it until you're comfortable holding it, and then just hold the teeth to the piece of card at the back and mould it with your fingers, because we are adding curves to the bottom part of this galleon. Okay, again, having a little bit of patience, because things do need to dry before you start going on another curve. Okay, and obviously, because I'm doing a video, I am trying not to hold you all up, because there's nothing worse than watching a video and you're going, oh gosh, get to the end, get to the end. Although you can fast forward me or mute me if you like. So there we go. So that's that part, and then we're going to add the next part. Okay, so again, we're adding glue to these tabs. Once these pieces are done, you can then start to see it taking shape. It all looks a little bit daunting to begin with, but once you have made one, you'll be away. So, and I can imagine many of you making these and kind of making different scenes and sticking them on little plinths, and I can't wait to see what you all do with it, because, you know, I've only got mine to go off at the moment. So hold that down till it's grabbed. This is where you just need to be a little bit more patient, because we are shaping as we go. Right. But as always with Tonic, you will get full instructions, so you're not left on your own. And if there's anything you get stuck with, you can always reach out to the girls at Tonic or any of the design team that have taken part in this one. Okay. And it is just pinching, moulding, pinching. Not to overlap too much there. Pull that out a little bit. You need that curve. You need to follow the curve. Okay. Now obviously you will leave more time between drying different sections and moving on. I would suggest you do something like this and leave it 10 minutes just make sure you've well and truly dry before you kind of manipulate it then again. So at this point, this is where I add these sections, and as you can see, you have a curved end and a straight end. Now the straight end is going here at the bottom, and as you can see, then when you get to your glue tabs, it should all line up. Now this will kind of pull out a little bit, So we just need to add these bottom sections. Okay, so this is going right at that bottom section there, and then you want to make sure that it meets at that point there, okay, where you've got that next section. And again, just be patient, just wait till it's grabbed. The beauty with the deluxe adhesive is you don't have to wait too long for it to grab, but it just gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And then we want to then pinch it and move it onto the next section, until then you can bring it round onto that last section, and you're just pinching, pinching, pinching. You want a cardstock underneath that's not too heavy, but is going to hold it until you add your nice decorative piece. Now you don't have to do this, you could go in and add your decorative piece. This is just how I like to do it, okay? So please, you know, look at the instructions that come with the set, of course, follow those instructions. But we all find, as I keep saying, and this isn't aimed at anybody at all when I say we are all different and we find our own way. What works for you is what works for you. And what works for somebody else is what works for somebody else. My tutorials here, guys, are just a guide. They're just a little bit of a helping hand. If I've made mistakes, I'll find another way that works a bit better. To save you the time, to save you the cardstock, and to try and save you the frustration, because sometimes we do get frustrated, don't we, when something doesn't go right and go, darn it, I can't do it. You can. There's just sometimes there's just a different way of doing it. So, you know, my videos are just here as a helping hand, and I never ever single anybody out in any of my tutorials. I'm here for every single one of you, and if I can help in any way, I will. Sometimes I don't always have time to give a long response, because obviously this is done in free time, and I have my own time, you know, as we all do. And you know, I have lots going on at the moment, guys, to be fair. My father is very poorly. He's got stage 4 cancer in his lung, and it's hit us like a brick the last couple of weeks, and he's had lots of operations over the past 18 months where he's had to get rid of cancer in other places. And so as you can imagine, life is a little bit hectic at the minute, and you know, I won't always have the time to come back and reply to you straight away, but I hope and pray that you know, if you ask me a question, I will answer it as soon as I see it, okay? I don't try and single anybody out, and my videos are not picking out any individual person and saying, oh, that's not the way to do it. You know, this is just the way I found to do it, and I'm just trying to help, that's all. And I only ever try and help if I can. So we'll get that out of the way, and we will carry on making our galleon. So as you can see here, you have this half and this half, okay? You will let that dry for a while. Now, because obviously I've had this one dry for a while, I'm going to stick this one on first. So when I said to you, you know, these go in the outward position, this is why. Because we're going to be now adding this to this section here. And you see that? And you do have to pinch it in and manipulate it for it to go to the shape. But that's what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to add adhesive to this section here. Okay. I don't like to go on about personal things, but I just wanted to try and explain, you know, I might not always have the time to come back straight away, but I always will try and do my best, guys. You know, I love craft. I could never imagine not crafting, and the crafty community on the whole has always been a wonderful place to be, and everybody is always so supportive, and everybody's always so supportive of the design team, and it means the world to all of us that are on the design team, by the way. We do try. Sometimes we might not get it right, but sometimes we might not make things that are that clear to understand, but we do our best. Sometimes, you know, time-wise, it's very tight, because obviously I think there are delays with shipping and things. It's just how it goes, but we always try. We always try, and we do it because we love crafting. We love crafting. We love the crafty community. And then seeing what all you guys make as well just makes us happy, because we go, oh, darn it, I never thought that you could make that with it. Oh, I wish I'd thought of that. And as you know, anything 3D, I'm there for it. And I love nothing better than taking something apart and doing something else with it. And there's a fair few of you crafters on the Facebook group that now do that, and it's great to see. It's lovely to see them as they're supposed to be, but it's lovely to see them as something else, and I just adore that. So you do have to, as I keep saying, I'm going to be like a broken record throughout this, you do have to be patient and make sure that that is well and truly stuck down. But as you can see, you have that half there. So we're just going to repeat the process, and we're going to stick the other half on. And then you can start to see this taking shape. Okay, so we're going to add this half now. So let's add plenty of adhesive here. This cardstock is a 240. I would highly recommend a 240. I think Toby in his instructions has recommended a 240 GSM cardstock for this, and he's spot on. He's absolutely spot on, and he would be because he's Toby. So we're going to then line that central point again. Okay. And then we're just going to tease that, bring it down to the shape. So once you're happy with where that is, then just hold, and then we can bring the other half down into place as well. So it doesn't matter if you have your glue tabs on this section on the outside or the inside, because you're not going to see it. It's going to be encapsulated inside of the base of the galleon. It's just what's ever easier for you, whether you like to have the glue tabs on the in or the out. And we're all different, because it depends what the project is. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I think, no, I think I want them to be on the inside. So just kind of hug him with your hands, and the heat from and the warmth from your hands will help all that come together. And do excuse my rumbly tummy. It's not had anything to eat yet today, and it's grumbling. I started a weight loss journey in October, more for my diabetes, because I went for a diabetic eye screening, and they said that I had stage 1 of the eye condition that you can get with diabetes. And so I thought, right, this is serious now, Vicky. You need to knuckle down. So we cut out chocolate, sweets, biscuits, cakes. We no longer have them. We don't have them in the house. They haven't entered the house at all since October, and they won't be coming back anytime soon. I bought myself a treadmill, and we've lost 2 stone already. So we're just going to keep at it. The main aim isn't for weight loss. The main aim is obviously to look after my eyes, get my diabetes under control, which it is. It's dropped significantly. And my eyes have been opened. I think I had blinkers on for some time regarding sugars, and yeah, had quite an eye-opening experience. The sugar that is in some things, that's absolutely horrendous. So yeah, so we're on a little journey. We're not doing it with any help of Manjaro and any of those type of things. Unfortunately, I can't have anything like that anyway. But I mean, if I could have, I might have done that, to be perfectly honest, just to try and get some control over everything. But unfortunately, it's not for me. So I've got to do it the blinking hard way. Mind you, I think it's all the hard way, to be honest, whether you're getting help with it or not. It's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. So now you can see we have all that stuck down. Now it does need a little bit more time here, but I am conscious that, you know, they're all getting bored now. So that will have to do for that. So now we're going to add the topping. So all I'd say to you with the top is I've cut 3 pieces identical. I'm actually going to glue the 2 pieces together, and these 2 pieces are going to go under those glue tabs. Now I found adding the 2 together really helped kind of hold it together a lot more easily than just one piece of cardstock. If it's flimsy, you're going to be holding it a lot longer. Because it's more rigid, it went together a lot easier. And that was a top tip from our Rosh, that. Because Rosh and myself have been working on this launch. And this is what I'm saying, you know, we all work differently and we all find things that will help, and that really does help. It makes a huge difference. So that's more like a chipboard piece now. So basically what we're going to do, oh, excuse my tummy. So we're going to lift these tabs. I'm actually going to add a little bit more glue. We need a bit more glue here on the situation. I did think that was a little bit. I could see daylight. So again, just let's pinch that. Apologies guys, but we need that to be stuck down. I don't know why I did a Yorkshire lass accent then, because I'm in Cheshire. Oh dear, you'll have to ignore me guys. Apologies to anybody that is from Yorkshire. I think I was watching All Creatures Great and Small yesterday, Mr. Harriet, and that got me going. Oh, I'm showing my age now, aren't I? And it's not the new All Creatures Great and Small, it's the old one, Mr. Harriet. Oh dear me, I do go off on a tangent, don't I? Just ignore me. So I'm gonna lift these glue tabs out of the way for now. Okay, and then you can see you've got a large space in here. So this is going to go underneath these tabs, and then you're going to kind of have it so it's just gonna, the teeth are just going to sit on top, okay, and then that tab is going to stick to the post. So I want an anchor point, pardon the pun, and I'm just going to line it up to where I want it to be, and I'm going to hold that end in place. Then I'm going to do the opposite end, down the sides, and then I'm going to do all the little teeth. Okay, so just press that down. Now you could have the glue tab facing up or down, it's completely up to you, but I don't really want to see it, so I'm going to do it in the downright position. So a bit more adhesive on that one, and again, apologies, I am going to bring it in towards me so I can see where I'm going, and then I'm going to bring that down to where I want that to be, and then you can see then take it under this side here. Apologies guys, you do need a few little hands at this point. Bring that in under that little tooth. There we go. Once you've got it in situ, you're fine. Now you can understand why that piece is like chipboard. It's easier to mould and shape. Okay, so we just want that to glue just below those glue tabs, and then I'm going to fold them in so that it can't pop out. And then once I'm happy with where that is, I'm just going to hold the tab underneath with my finger. Okay, and then we build then on this shape. That's what we do. And then I'm going to add glue to this glue tab. These are what I say are my anchor points. I keep saying pardon the pun, but quite apt for this one. And I'm going to add wet adhesive there on that side. And then I'm going to pull each side up then to grab to that tab. And I apologise if my fingers are in the way, but until I grab it. Okay. I always want to try and show you what I'm doing, but it's flipping hard sometimes to pinch and grab and show at the same time without either my head coming in view or something else. Right. You see what I mean by anchor points? You get these bits down and then the rest is, I'm going to do another pun, is plain sailing. Bum bum. Sorry, can't help myself today. Right. We're going to have all the saily jokes now. Oh dear. I mean, just stick some more glue on if you've not got enough there. And I might be making it look awkward only because I have a short time to get this video made, and the length of it. And then I do like to keep things in real time. I don't like to fast forward and do all that malarkey. I like you to see if there's mistakes, you'll see the mistakes, because at the end of the day, I'm just like you guys. I just love crafting, do my best, and we hope for the best. So the anchor points are anchored. So now it's just a matter of sticking these bits down, and we will be covering this section up with another piece. So don't be worried, guys, if you have glue seep out from these teeth, because they do need a fair amount of glue to glue down. You do have to be patient with them gluing down, and then sometimes it can be, oh, there's some unsightly glue there. You're not going to see it. So I tend to put a hand underneath for support and then bring those teeth down and just hold until you've gone all the way round. And the glue will seep out from where you've added it. But like I said, we're not going to see that, so don't worry about it. You just don't want to be getting glue on this section here, because when you do, it does look unsightly. And that's the biggest bug for a good finish. You'll see a beautiful make and then you'll go, oh, such a shame, there's a lot of glue there that you can see that's dried. And on dark card, it can be a nightmare. There we go. So by supporting it and holding it, it comes down into place. So we're just going to do that on all of these corners now. And obviously at this point, then I think you get excited at this point, because then you can start to see it's taking its shape. Okay. So, again, I'm going to put my fingers underneath and support it whilst I'm holding it. There we go. I've loved reading all of your comments on the Facebook group, what you're hoping some things will be for March Madness. But always put your ideas forward. If there's something that you want, it gives then the designers ideas that something maybe they haven't thought of, or they have. It's been mentioned a few times. It goes on that little notice board, and then they go, well, we've had a fair few requests for that. Well, how about we put one together? So it's always good to say what it is that you want, what you would like, that we've never done before. Obviously, if it's something similar, then possibly not. But you never know. You just got to ask. I keep asking Mark for something, and hopefully one day he's going to give in. I can't tell you what it is, but I'll keep nagging at him till he gives in. You never know. But I've never seen anything so detailed as this. I've never seen anything not even half as detailed as this, to be honest. But this is our Toby, and wow, we've had some amazing designs from him. last year. Just amazing. And every year we say, don't we? Oh, you're not going to top that, Toby. Can't top that. And he does. And so does Jodie. Every single year. And I've seen what's coming, guys. Especially birthday week. And wow. Wow. I just can't wait. I'm so super, super excited. Really, really excited. They blow me away. There we go. So just take your time with that, guys, is all I'm going to say. You're going to just do that with everything with this. You're just going to take your time. So that is that section. Excuse my tummy. So now we're going to cover that up so that you don't see any of that workings. So you can attach these tabs on top, but I tend to just tuck mine underneath. And I'm just going to add adhesive to those. But again, this is your choice. This is just how I have made mine. Okay. So that's going to go on there, and it's going to cover all of that up. Okay, so you've got a really nice, neat finish there. So we're just going to add adhesive to this. Okay. Down she goes. Bit more adhesive on there. And then down that goes. I think I've gone opposite ends, so we're going to swivel that. Just make sure whichever way you've cut it is the way you put it on. Right. Okie dokie. So then you're just going to go and tease that down all the way around. Until we're down. Now at this point I will add, it says in the instructions, if you're having the balustrade, you glue them underneath here first. Now I don't personally like to add mine that way, but that's what you would do before you add this top piece on, this finishing piece. You would add your balustrade. Okay. Now I'll just tease that a bit more and then I'll show you what I mean. Now I found that with the balustrade you've got teeth here. See that? Those teeth would go underneath here. And then you have like a gap, a slight gap. And then you go over the top here with this. Now I prefer to do 2 of these back to back to make them a little bit more chipboardy. You are then going to curve with your fingers to get that nice shape. And then I like to add this finishing piece over the edge. And then where you're going to be placing this, the glue tab is going to fit in that side piece there. And then I add glue to this section here and then I mould it to the front. Now that isn't necessarily how the instructions show you how to do it. I prefer this method because you've got no gaps. But again, personal choice, okay? So that's how I do that. So we've got all of our balustrades, which we will add in a moment, okay? So I'm just going to give all of them a little bit of a curve, okay? And then they're ready to add, okay? So now we want, I must have actually got mine not quite right there because it doesn't want to sit, and it should sit. It's sitting-ish. So put that to one side a moment. So you're going to cut the largest of the plain sections, okay? And there's a die that has, I'll get it. It's easier to show you, isn't it? Easier to show you. So you have this die here. And what you want to do for the plain one, you want to place this on top. And then see the smallest hex there? You want to place that in the middle. You want to eyeball the middle, okay, like so. And then you want to lift this off without moving that hex and tape the hex down, and you will end up with a piece like this, okay? Let me put that back before I lose it. And then you want another piece for the underneath, okay? But before we glue those pieces together, we actually want to add these pieces. So these pieces sandwich between or underneath, because I've got a section here that I'm going to add underneath, okay? So without further ado, we'll put that bit together. So we need our pole first of all, and we want the largest pole, and we want to stick this together okay, just like you saw. That's that. And we want another one of those, I think. So let me cut another one of those out. Always something you forget, isn't it? There we go. So we want 3 of those. I made this a while ago, so it's revisiting it, and it's like, oh, what, how many, and where did I put them? So you can score it with your bone folder or just with your fingers. Okay. So again, we want some adhesive on that glue tab. And then adhere that to there. Making sure they're all lined up. Okay. And making sure that is all well adhered before you kind of move on, because, you know, once it's glued, it's glued. Okay, so more adhesive in there. And then close that off. Moving on me now. This is where your tweezers come in handy. I mean, you could squish it and then pop it back up. Like so. So now you've got those glue tabs, which are then going to go through that middle, and then they're going to fold back on themselves like so, and then bring them back, and then I use the desk as a somewhere to lean on. Okay, and there you have that then glued to the back. Okay, a bit more. Where's my fold folder? There we go. So just give that a gentle persuasion from the top just to adhere down. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add these sections here. Okay, so you do have an indication of where they go. We've got a little score mark there in that die. Now I glue 2 back to back to make them a little bit more chipboardy, because they are going to take some tension where you're going to put your string, twine, cotton. So we're going to add this one like that, just opposite each other. And then we're going to place one underneath to cover those little tabs that we've just added. And that goes on there. Okay. And this is going to be your lid that rests over that hole there, like so. So these would be angled up. Okay. Just need a little persuasion. And then that sits on top. Okay. So what we need to do now is I add a couple of these underneath. Okay. And then these sit in the hole. So these want to be glued centrally to that bigger panel. I'm going to need a new glue shortly. And then that goes in the middle there. Okay. And that can sit inside the lip. And it sits in there like so. Okay. Like that. So what we want to do now is we want to add the straps and closure. Okay. So at this point, I normally then add these nice trims. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add these now, just so I know roughly where the centre of my straps are going to come to. So I'm going to place this down at the back. I am then going to wrap that around, and then I'm just going to hold. Now you can start to see it's going to take shape. Okay, so I just want to pinch that glue tab at the end there as well. Okay. We are going to add our satin trim across the bottom as well. So we've got 4 of those, or we should have. I remember cutting them out last night. So again, just hold things that little bit longer. Now if you'd added the teeth underneath here, they would be secured under here, but I don't like to see a gap here. I prefer this finish, so again, personal choice. Okay, so whilst I'm thinking about it, I'm going to add this trim. It really pops when you add this satin card. But you could have glued it together with your satin card first. That's absolutely fine. But I just love that finish. It just gives it a little bit more rigidity as well with an extra layer there. That's what I found anyway, but you know. So then let's add this other one. And the reason I like to do the satin here and the satin here, because it all ties it in like that's how it's meant to be. I've just gone off a little bit there, but we're stuck down now, so we'll just go with the flow. And then we'll add this other side. And you'll make some masterpieces with this set, given more time. You know, you're not going to have any time restraints, because believe you me, a video that is longer than 2 hours takes an absolute eternity to upload and can be a bit of a nightmare. So there we go. Apologies if I've gone off view there. So when we're filming, our cameras are up way up here, and we can't see actually what we're filming. We just have to hope we're all in view. And we're all guilty of, what do the girls say, cutching, which is hugging our work. We all do that. I think it's just because we find, don't we, sometimes you're holding things and you're bringing it towards you, it just, you've got that extra support. But on camera, it doesn't look so good. So now you can see that lovely satin, and then it ties in then with your balustrade. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add this other balustrade. So again, I'm adding glue here where you could have tucked it underneath. And then I'm going to slide that in at the back there. And then I'm going to bring that around. There we go. I'm going to bring it towards me a little bit. Get rid of any glue that you've spilt out there. I've done four that I've sent to Tonic, all different colours. We've got, I even did you a Tonic Galleon, guys, to go on our cruise, our crafty cruise. It was actually themed for a child's room, you know, something you could put on their shelf as a kid's decoration. But I did put Tonic on the front here. But yeah, you've got loads of different colourways that you can pick. Right, so let's just add these other two, and then I'll show you then how the lid actually goes on. And then it's just decorative, just decoration then, guys. So again, just going to flip that glue tab in there at the back, and then follow it round like so, and then just hold it, wiping off any little bits of glue because we don't want any glue showing on this. I am a stickler for glue. I hate to see glue because I see how hard, you know, we all work on a project, and then something can go a bit awry with your glue and it's like, oh, flip. Like there, I've got a little tiny piece there, and that just won't do. That'll do my trolleying. I have a little, there we go, it's off. I have a little sticky tool that I take any glue off with. It's like an eraser for glue. Right, let's add this last balustrade, railing, whatever they call it. I'm not clued up with my galleons, so I don't know the names of these things. So again, I'm just going to slip that in at the end, bring that down a tad, and then wrap it round. And I am just going to slide it in towards me, guys, so I'm just going off for you for a minute. There we go. And putting these in place now just helps me realise where I want my straps to be. Obviously, if you do them afterwards, it's kind of, where is the middle? Where's, you know. Okay. let's hope we can let go in a minute. No, didn't think so. I didn't think that had stuck where I wanted it. There we go. Let's get you down there. Can't wait to see what colours you all do. I'm going to do a pirate ship. Right, so there are our balustrades there in place. Okay, don't know why we're not sitting, but it should. Yeah, I was going to say it should sit. So then we have. Just hang on a minute, guys. This is not stuck. We want these bits to stick. Just a little bit longer. Okay. So then this section then sits in there, and it will find its place because you've added the inner bit there. It kind of nuzzles in and finds its way. Okay. So once that is in situ, are we going to stand? No. Are we going to play silly beggars? No, we're not going to stand. So now we've got these straps. Okay. So let's just put you there. You've got a little score line there and there. Okay. So just fold those. Now you might not want to make them out of satin if you think it creases too much. It's completely up to you. Now we have these little circles. Now I've stuck 5 together. These are going to act like a little stopper. I have more cut if I need to, but I will show you why. So it might be prudent at this point to make your stands, because your stands fit at the bottom of the boat here to help it stand, so you've got something firm. So maybe we will do that now, and then we can stop worrying about it not sitting straight. It should actually sit straight, so I've gone wonky somewhere. So we're going to add adhesive. It's typical, isn't it? You do a video and it never goes quite how you planned, but there we go. So you're going to go back to back, so they glue at the bottom. And you've got a little glue tab here, which then brings this section over. So we're going to add adhesive here, and then we're going to tuck that in and bring it over. Now at this point you might prefer to use tweezers. I'm just going to hold it. Okay. And then we have another little glue tab at the side there, and then we're going to add adhesive there, and we're going to bring that section in to meet that section there. Okay, so that comes up to that bit, and then you're just gonna, as everything else, you're just gonna hold it. You have your little helper to hand that can sit and hold things for you, or just do a few bits one day and a few bits another day, and then they're all bone dry then for the big assemble. So again, I'm going to repeat what we did on the other side. I'm going to bring that section in and then hold it, and then again we're going to add adhesive to that triangle. Bring that in and bring that in, squish it and hold it just like so, like a little chunk of cheese, isn't it? Looks very strange at this point, I know. So just hold those two sides. You're then going to push that little flip down. You're going to bring in one side. This is where your tweezers become invaluable. And then you're going to bring in the other side. We're going to add some adhesive to that side. And then we're going to bring him in and squish him down. Again, push that down, push that in, and push that in. So bring that one across, bring that one across, kind of squish it between your fingers. And you've got two little, I don't know what you want to call them. And then they can be glued to this section. Now at this point, they're quite tight to get on. And you can put them as far away as you like. I'd just put a little bit of adhesive on those little tab sections there. This one is still wet, so we are taking a gamble, but we're going to go for it, guys. And then there are your little feet, which then it stands. Okay. So there we go for that. So then we're going to put this section back in. And if you're happy with its positioning, you're then going to glue. You're going to pick which is going to be your back. They're both the same, so I'm going to say this is going to be my back. So this will have adhesive here. Okay. So we've got adhesive on that ring there. And I'd quite like to have it near the end there. And so I'm going to press that down, okay, and just hold it. So it is fastened at the back but not at the front, okay. I'm going to get the other strap and I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to roughly see where I've gone on that side, making sure I keep my lid where I need my lid to be, and I'm going in about there, and I'm going to hold that. Okay. When you're happy that they are dry, I want you to lift that section up, and I want you to add a little bit of adhesive in the middle of that strap, but only in the middle. I want you to secure where that should be, and you're happy with it. And then I want you to bring that strap down and just press where you've put that adhesive. The adhesive should only be in the middle here, not here and not here, just in this middle section here. Okay, so we'll show you again. Lift that up, just add some adhesive to that middle section. We don't want any here and we don't want any here where my finger is there, just that middle section. Okay, just where this door is, you will need adhesive. None there, none there, otherwise it won't open. So when you're happy that that is stuck in place, You will now see when you lift the mast, you lift your lid. Okay, so that's firmly in place. So these here need a catch mechanism. So this is where your little washers come into play. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on my hand here. So make sure that's in the place where you need it to be. You're going to pick up your little washers. Going to add adhesive. And then the little washer is going to fit inside of that loop. Now you might need to add more washers like I do. I have 5 there already, but I need some more. So we just add a few more. And the depth of that then catches on there, like that. I will add some more washers to that shortly, but that's how that goes. So I now have some little portholes. So we're going to add those now. So let me find them all. Okay. I'm going to put some glue on my hand. And I'm going to add one of these to the middle, like that. I'm then going to add one of these to the top of there. So I'm just going to lift that up. Press that down there. And then going to put one on the other side. Just adding that little bit more detail. So, one there. And then I'm going to add a little white one to the centre, so they match the one each side. And they come over once they're dry and they catch the washer. Okay, so we just bring that one a little bit further down. And I will add another couple of washers on there shortly. So I'm going to tilt it so we can do this other side. So let's take a couple of those. So I'm going to add one in the middle as we did the other side, so they both look symmetrical. And then going to add a little white window, so to speak, with a little porthole. And one in there. And one in there. And I'm going to add the detail on top, just that finishing touch. So again, one side matches the other side. And there we go. So we've got both sides the same there. Do be careful with your satin card because it can mark quite easily. So that's both sides then. Okay, so I am just going to add another couple of washers just to this side, just so it just catches a little bit more for me. So another one on there, and another one. There we go. I'm happier now. This is just trial and error. It depends on the depth of your card, if you're using a thin card or a thicker card. So you'll just have to see what works best for you with what cardstock you're using. But like I said, it's recommended we use 240. So now I have the cannons, okay? So we're going to get the cannon bits. So that's all my bits. So I've decided I'd like, let's get some more glue on the situation. I'd like these to be uniform. We're gonna go uniform. All right, but you could actually add these squares just for a panel, a decorative panel going round your galleon. Okay, I've just used them this way for where we're having the guns, cannons, just spacing them out a little bit more. You have to be careful though, because we are going on an angle, so just hold them a little minute. Okay, and then we're going to add another one. I'm hoping I've cut enough, but knowing me, oh there we go. I was going to say, knowing me, I've come one short. And then I'm going to bring this one over. Again, just let that glue do its thing. Okay. And then you'll see that these pieces I've done in the satin to match, and it cuts to 3 sides, and they just sit proud like that, like a little tent. And all you want to do is just put adhesive just on the frame of each one, and then they just rest there just on that section. Okay, and again do that for the other 3 sections, 4 sections. Can't count now either. There we go. And it's these little finishing touches, the little added detail that finish this off to such a lovely, lovely standard. Honestly, when you first start off, you think, no, this isn't going to look anything near. As it starts to develop, and then you start getting excited. This is why I love 3D. And you think that this starts off as a flat piece of cardstock. This blows my mind sometimes, it really does. So you can just tease those out if they get a little bit flat. So there's the cannons, where the cannons would be there ready to shoot at their enemy. And then we're just going to do the same again with these. Just going to place these so it's kind of uniform. So we're going to go central on with this one. And then we're going to space these out a little bit. So we're going to have that gap. last one on there. I'm getting conscious of time now because we've been at it a while. Right, so bring that down. And then just like we did before, we're just going to put adhesive just on the frame section. And then he's going to go on there. Then again. Go. And I just think that adds such a lovely detail. And then you've got the 3 on that side as well. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side and then work out what we're going to work on next. So I think we're going to put together the little bird's nest thing. So here we have the 6 sections here, and like I said to you before, we've gone in with that satin there, so just going to add that one there to the bird's nest. So that goes on there. And then we're going to add that one to the other 5. So you need 6 in total. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to fold all those in. And what I tend to do is join mine in, and then I add the hex at the bottom. Just make sure that's all glued tight. Okay, and then fold all that in. I then place adhesive just round the edge where you know the glue tabs are going to be, and then I place one inside like so. Go in with your trusty precision tool, and then you've got an anchor point to put the bottom one on. There we go. And then you can go back in again just to adhere those 2 pieces together like so. So this is going to be going up on the top of your mast. So we've got a nice little decorative piece here, which I'm going to put at the front end, which is like a little grill, and I'm having that just about there. Okay, so we need the pole. So I've got my trusty bits cut. So again, we're making a little pole. This time we only need 2 pieces because we're making a little square section. So again, like we did before, we're just adhering it to the glue tabs there. Okay. Make sure they're all dry before we move on. And then we want to add adhesive to that strip and then tuck him in. So we're making a square shape where the other one was a hex shape. And when that has grabbed, let's just pinch him at the top for a minute and pinch him at this end. There we go. You're then going to put this through there, and then you're going to add adhesive to those sections, bend them back as we did before, and then press that down using my bone folder like so, just like that. We're then going to fold over this top section, so 1 and 2, okay, 3 and 4. I'm going to fold all those down, a nice square top. Just hold that. Okay. We've then got our 2 flags. I'm just going to hold that a little bit longer. Okay. And then I'd like them going from side to side. So I'm going to glue mine to that side first via this little tab. So I'm going to have it there. Okay. I'll just hold that one. And then I'm going to have that one. Make sure it's the same way up. And then what I tend to do is put a little bit just on that tip and then pinch them together. Don't have to do this, just what I did. Okay. Okay. So you've got your little sails. And this glues inside your basket, like so. So just press that so you know it's in situ. I will leave it to one side. So we've got some more bits to add. So we've got these sections here. Okay, these play a role with the sail. Okay, so we have got a little bit more decoration to add, so we will add that now. Okay, and then we'll do the sail, and then guys, we're not far off finished, to be honest. So as you can see here, we've got these decorative pieces, and I've just put some at the front and the back, just decorative elements here. So I placed one here at the top, okay, and then one opposite. So we've got one there. Oh, there we go. Just gives it a little bit more detail. And then I've got another one that I'm gonna add like that. And then let's have that one there. And then we're going to add some at the back as well. Got glue all over me. So, got one on one side. I'm just going to bring it towards me, guys, just for a moment. There we go. Okay. One there. And then another two. Okay. The last one. Okay. There we go. So you've got that lovely pattern there, front and back. Just adding a little bit more detail again. I want to remember which is a front and which is a back, so that's my front. So we've got these little brackets here. So what we want to do is we want to glue two back to back, but not gluing where the hole is there, the small hole. Okay, so we want them like that. And then we want to bring that down like that, like a V. Okay, and then the other one we want back to back, like so. Okay, so that you've got a hole each side. Okay, so now the sail. You want to shape this. So I tend to find something circular and give it a tease. Okay, and if you go with something wider, you can then always go with something narrower and tuck it in tight. Okay, you can also then go in with a bone folder and shape as well. Okay, but you just want to give it that little bit of extra help. Okay, just to give it that shape. Now at this point you can then add some detail to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add a red one to match our, oh excuse me, my tummy, goodness me, skull and crossbones there. So just adding that to the middle before, because it's a lot easier to add now. Okay, add a little bit more curve to that. There we go. We also have some bunting here. Now I'm not sure whether I'm going to add it or should I? Should I? Maybe I will. So kind of want it there, more or less. So I'm going to trap that in with a washer. Okay, and it's easier to do this now than later. So I want to trap that in there over the top on that corner. And then I want to stick my washer over the top. And you can snip that shorter if it will annoy you. It doesn't annoy me, but it might annoy somebody. And then you're trapping that in then at the back. Just eyeball where you've gone, because I have moved it a little. So I want it to go about there. Okay, so I want my other washer to trap that in. So we're going to go there, and again just going to snip that off. And then that bit is done. So we've got our bunting, and it's gone off kilter a little bit there, but we're not going to worry about that too much. Okay, but you just adjust it to where you want it. So that's that done. So now we have this section here, which we'll be gluing underneath. Okay, so I'm just going to add some glue to these tabs, like so. There we go. And then this gives it that shape from the bottom. So again, we're just going to follow it along, just like we did earlier with the other pieces, but do kind of hold it and just follow the curve. Okay. There we go. See how you're getting that lovely bowed shape. Thought of everything, hasn't he, our Toby? So big hats off to our Tobias, because he's awesome, as they all are at Tonic. Right, so in hindsight I would have put that a little bit lower, but hey ho. So that's your sail. Now is an order. Now let me see if I can remember the order of what goes where. So what I found easiest was to place this on here first. I think in the instructions it shows you another way, but I was all fingers and thumbs, so I went with doing it now. And you're just eyeballing the middle, really. You're just eyeballing that middle, and it's roughly around there somewhere. So I'm putting that on now. Okay, now you want that to be dry, okay, because this is going to be threading onto this mast pole here, okay, and also this. So what we want to do now is carefully thread this bottom section onto your pole, okay, and bring that down. Okay, now you don't want to bring it all the way down to the bottom, and then you want to put the next section in through here. So this is why you want everything to be dry, guys, okay? So you just give it a little wiggle from side to side until you get that where you want it to be. Now it will naturally get its curve as you push it down. Now to stop it falling down to the bottom, this is where these sections come in, and I've put two together to make it a little bit more rigid, and you're going to apply glue here and here, okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put it so that it sits right next to your pole, and I will turn it towards me in a minute, guys, but I just need to get it kind of stuck in place, and then I'll show you where I've put it, okay. But can you see there, I'm sticking it to the side of the pole, so when it's dry that will stop that from going any further down, okay, so it keeps its natural curve. And then the base is then glued to your lid, and it'll all make sense in a moment. And then once I've added one to one side, I'm going to add one to the other side for more support, okay. So again, I'm going in and I'm adding it so that it can stick to the pole. So I just need to give it a little bit of persuasion there, and a little bit of persuasion there. So tweezers, guys, will be your best friend. Invaluable. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze it and hold it, and then I'll show you what I've done. Okay, but these elements do need time to dry. Okay, and it's just come off there, so it needs a little bit more hugging. Now you could have put these brackets on before you put the sail on, but you don't really know where it's going to go until you bring it down on your pole, okay, so it does need more time to dry. So we'll let them bits dry. Excuse me. Now we want to add this section. So this goes on top. Okay. So just like we did before, we're going to tease that into the top and we're going to wiggle that down. Okay. Now that mast can go a little bit further down. Okay. The reason I'm not pushing too much is because obviously I want those brackets below to dry. So then we have this section here. So I bring this down. Now at this point you could, no, that's what I did. That's what I did. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent now. I'm thinking about the basket. So now we have this section. And that is going to have glue, and that's where your little bird's nest sits, his little watchtower. So we're going to add adhesive to those tabs, and then I'm going to place that in the centre, and again just going to hold it all until it's grabbed. And you just have to be patient, guys. That's all you have to be. Easy little bit patient. I mean, I do tend to give it a little tease with the tweezers from underneath, but yeah, you do have to just be a little bit patient. But you can see now it taking real shape. Okay. Not quite gone in the middle there, have I? There we go. Right. So we have an anchor here. So we've done with these bits. We don't need those anymore. So what we do want is our anchor, just for another little bit of decoration. So we've got the chain here. So I just tend to overlap if I need a second section add in. Okay. I'm just wondering now, do I want a second section adding? Because I don't think I do, because I'm going to have it going over the front. So bear with, guys, because I put my anchor in different places on them all. I think I'm going to go. Keep picking up the wrong thing. Dear me, Vicky. Not going to glue much with a roller, am I? So I'm going to hang this from the front, like it's just going to be cast out. And then I'm going to attach my anchor to the end there, and then I'm going to add one underneath, so that can kind of poke through there, and then I'm going to add one underneath, just so it looks like it's being thrown out to anchor them down, because they're going to get into a gunfight. Oh, bear with. You do have to let satin on satin dry for a little while. Right. So please stick on there. Right. So I will glue that down a little bit more from underneath. Okie dokie. Just an added bit of detail there. So what we want to do now is I've used some of your cottons that you'll use for like cross stitch, etc. And I've got a length. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that through, up through the bottom of here. Okay. And then as it comes down, I want to bring both pieces. Let's trim that off because it's tatty. Bring both pieces down. Now this is also where you need everything to be dry, because you don't want to be pulling on anything that's not quite dry yet. Okay, so I'm going to be careful here. So I want to bring those through that loop at the bottom, bring them through, and then bring it round. And then you want to bring it back through that loop, and then being able to pull it and tie it off. So you want to put one at the front and one at the back, and you'll feel the right tension as you pull it. So then we're going to put one in the back, and then you can trim those edges off. So again, you're going to bring that up through the hole like so, and then you're going to bring them back down through those other holes. So just take your time here. So, oh come on, Vicky. This is where you need new eyes. Right, so we're going to bring that down so that it's kind of level. I've done more thread than I need, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. And then you want to bring that thread down. Come on. Bring it down. Bring it round. I'm going to trim some off there because it's getting in my way. And then I want to bring that back through there. And then I want to pull it. Okay. And then you can trim that off. Trim that off. And there, guys, we have the galleon. So let's put our bunting straight there. Okay, there we go. Like I said, that could have been a little bit lower, but there we go. You get the idea, guys. This is only a guide. I'm only here as a guide. But there you have where your cannons would come out. These are your little latches. So this is how it works, guys. So please bear with, because things are still drying. Okay, they lift off your latches, and then you open the lid. It's that, I mean, and it's so simple when you look at it like that, isn't it? So this is why I say be careful where you put your glue here, because you don't want to glue down on the top. But you've got a good amount of space in there for treats. And then that just falls back in place. And then you just hook it back on your little catches at the front, just there. If you want to tighten those a little bit tighter, then you can. I've just done those for speed there, but yeah, you can tighten them up. And there you are. That is your Grandiosa Galleon. And I just think it's absolutely ingenious. I've never seen a paper craft look so, well, I've never seen one anything like this, to be fair. It's an amazing design, and well done to Toby for all his hard work for creating this, because it is spectacular. Like I said, guys, I know I've repeated myself. You will take more time with your make. You'll let things dry longer, and you'll take more time with detail. This will be available for March Madness. It will be available on the Tonic Studios website, where you can head on over to purchase. I am an affiliate for Tonic Studios, so if you decide to click the link in my description, I do make a small commission from each sale, and that just helps me bring these tutorials to you in the future. So without your support, this wouldn't be possible. So I'll just leave that with you. But I just want to say thank you so much for sticking with me today. It has been an extremely long one, but as you can see, it's such a detailed make. And I hope you all have a fabulous March Madness week with the girls at Tonic. And I hope you can join me each day, because I do have something different to share with you each day. And I just want to say thanks for your support. Thank you for being here, and happy crafting.